So let's bring in senior political analyst Brit Hume. Good evening, Brit. Listen, we've got a lot of important things to talk about, but I want to start there. You and I covered the White House. We just had a few days ago our White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich asked a question that actually was a very substantive question that is the topic of a lot of opinion pieces and foreign policy experts over the next few days. And the president said, "What a stupid question." And then tonight in this, Peter Doocy is the pool reporter asking questions for everyone, and the president calls him a dumb SOB, and you heard it right there. Your thoughts about this?
Well, there may be people who are Biden partisans and some others, friendly media people, who might like hearing the president say that, but it doesn't reflect well on any president to engage in these nasty disputes with journalists. It's punching down. He's the president of the United States, the most powerful person on earth, arguably. And for him to be, insulting journalists is not a good look. It didn't help Donald Trump when he did it, and he did his share of insulting journalists. And I don't think it's going to help this president to do that. And the truth about the matter is that one of Biden's assets has always been that he's kind of good-natured. And he'll smile, and he's always had kind of a joshing relationship with Peter Doocy, who's been a pretty pesky questioner, and I thought that reflected well on Biden. I don't think this does. Yeah,
not to belabor this, but on day one of this presidency, President Biden said, if I hear you talking about his people that he's hiring, treating another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency and dignity. That was on day one of this presidency. Trying to draw a contrast, as you point.
Some questions about that. Yeah, he may get some questions about how well that's holding up in light of these exchanges with our two White House.
Yeah, let me turn to Russia and where you see things right now. This is a tinderbox on that border between Russia and Ukraine.
Well, the conviction seems to be growing that this is real and that an invasion is imminent. The United States and to some extent its allies have promised that there would be swift and powerful action if that occurred. The concern, I think, though, is how swift and powerful the action could be. After all, there's no indication that any direct military involvement by the United States, shipping arms is one thing, sending forces is another. There's no sign we're willing to send forces actually into Ukraine to help Ukraine defend itself. So it comes down to basically the economic sanctions. There are already a lot of them on Russia. There are other ones that could be taken, including some pretty tough ones. Russia could basically be cut off by the West from the international banking system. That would hurt. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, not yet active, but expected to be, would hurt the Russian economy very much as well if it were never activated. But I don't think the Allies are going to go along with either of those two things. Germany certainly doesn't seem at all prepared to have Nord Stream 2, which they depend on Russian gas. Germans have curbed their use of nuclear power. They've curbed their use of coal power. They need Russian gas, and it would hurt them badly. And I don't think they'll go along with it. And I don't think the rest of the Allies would be willing to go along with the really tough banking sanctions. So it remains to be seen what the president and his team can get the Allies to do.
Yeah. Just to clarify, Peter was in an open press event, not the pool, but go back to the questions Jackie Heinrich asked about a possibility of preemptive sanctions, which is now becoming a foreign policy possibility, but the president doesn't seem to be wanting to go down that road.
Well, she asked him, why do you wait for Putin to make the first move? And I hear foreign policy people saying continually these days, often saying, look, the smart move would be to impose such sanctions as we have now and then tell the Russians, if you go into Ukraine, we'll lift. If you don't go into Ukraine and you back off there, we'll lift them. That's an argument can be made for that. So that was not in any way a stupid question. It was a sensible question and one that a number of people are asking.
Brit, as always, thank you.
You bet.